everybody should disco on Saturdays. I think basically we should all put our roller skates from 3 to 5 and just basically go around in circles and, with ABBA playing in the background and wearing sequins and little tight 70s attire. I think Terry would look great in that outfit.
I think, yeah, and you could wear the Sailor Cooley outfit.
There is no such thing as Sailor Cooley. There is no such thing as Sailor Cooley. There never was such a thing as
There
Sailor
never will
Cooley.
be either.
It's
Never will be.
lies and propaganda, and we're not having any of it.
All right. Oh, that's good to establish.
Well, better to establish it now than later and have it come up, and we have to have this whole conversation again.
Absolutely.
Again.
I have been educated, or shall we say re-educated, perhaps.
Re-education. Oh, is that the next thing?
Yes, that's the new thing.
What's the old thing?
The old thing I guess was probably education the first time,
Oh,
but
well,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
yeah,
that'd
but
be indoctrination.
oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. That makes more sense. It's fun with the word games.
Yes.
You know, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room. Excuse me, elephants in the room.
You mean me?
No, 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 no. You
Oh no,
being here,
I'm absolutely not the elephant this time. Okay,
that's
good.
not completely weird. What's completely weird is there are two other people who should be here who are not here. So I'm very, very confused by this whole situation. By the power of the moon, Paul will kill you. Okay, that sounds like really, Xander. I'm not going to start singing that.
you've almost crossed over, and little did you suspect. Yeah, he tricked you, man. He almost had you.
No Cat Daddy or Mr. Svi. No, they have decided they have better things to do. We'll get to that in a minute, but now that we're a couple of minutes in, I can say howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul E. Cooley. Joining me is a special guest, Mr. Tim Niederriter. What's
Hi,
up, man?
howdy, how are you? I'm doing all right. Just busy writing a giant book this month. That's been my month so far.
Writing a giant book this month. Are you trying to tell me that you're going to have a giant book written in a month?
Oh yeah, pretty much. I mean, 180,000 words, pretty much in most of that this month.
You dictate, right?
Partially. Lately, I've been dictating while looking at the screen, so it's a lot slower than it used to be, but it's a lot cleaner draft.
Okay, so you're doing what Terry does, basically.
Yeah, basically. But it's about half the speed I would go when I would just dictate into a voice recorder. So I do about 3,000 words an hour that way.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Hey,
I don't know how
what?
y'all do that. I don't know how you guys do it. I've never tried it though. I shouldn't.
But I mean, honestly, I think it's the more insane part is when I go and I don't look at the text as it comes as I record it, because then I can do 7,000 words in an hour, and yet they make and they still make a good story. What they don't make is good text.
Right,
There's-
good prose.
The prose is really bad, but the story work comes out all right. And so I wrote a few books that way, but they take too long to edit. So I'm trying to figure out a good in between place.
Yeah, there's a happy balance there somewhere. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but because I could not write 180,000 words in a month right now to save my life.
Well, I mean, I already had 20,000, so I guess I'm only really doing 160,000 this month.
Only 160,000.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. You have no life.
No,
Anyway.
editing happens next month, Xander. Editing happens next month, Xander.
So a month to write
That's
the
why
book
I'm
and then a
having
month to
done it.
edit.
Yeah, the book doesn't come out, and I mean, originally, yeah, the deadline was September. Well, no, it was August, but now I pushed it back to September because I thought even that was too crazy even for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still just blown away by that. That's a lot of words.
Boy.
That's a lot
Yeah,
of
we were
words.
having the whole shake up. Yeah, it is a lot of words.
Well, I have bad news for everybody. Terry and V are not here. V is doing family things, and Terry is, well, okay. First off, in case you didn't know, our town got hit by a hurricane. A really nasty little fucker who caused a lot of damage to a lot of things that we were really not expecting. So many of us lost power for days. Some of us still don't have power. I obviously do. So things were kind of rough. And Terry was already behind the 8 ball on his deadline. If you remember us talking about it during last week's show and the week before that. And then he got sick. And then he lost power again. So now that he has power again, he's trying to get back on and get the goddamn book finished so he can meet his deadline, which is apparently already blown. So anyway, he's a bad man. We wish him well. We wish him to get better so he can join us next week so I can beat him on set for missing 2 shows.
This is like the most shows he's missed it in a while.
It's probably the most shows he's missed in his life.
Or maybe ever. Yeah, seriously. I mean, other than that brief run at the beginning of the show where he wasn't on the show, he has been, and by brief, I mean about a year of podcasts, I think. It was some huge...
That was a long time.
About a year of weekly podcasts. And then he joined the show, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad news.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll hopefully see them next week. And then we get back to some semblance of normalcy.
Yeah, you can tell it's bad when I
normalcy,
show up. Yeah. Well,
Speaking of normalcy, Beryl pretty much destroyed a lot of my time because I lost 2 days of doing this. I have a lot of stories about the hurricane. And some of them I am really loath to tell. But we had just moved my parents into independent living, and their old house that they're selling right now had a generator. So we moved them to independent living. There's nothing in the house. Beryl comes in, knocks out power for the independent living facility. My parents, rather than calling around and figuring out what's supposed to happen, sat there in the dark, in the heat, as it slowly got warmer and warmer, and there was continuing to be no power. Then one of the cell towers went down, so they couldn't call anybody. So the emergency lights had failed in the hallways and in the stairwells. So my 83-year-old parents decided they would climb down 4 flights of stairs in the dark. They did this. Nobody died. It's amazing. They didn't take any clothes, they didn't take any of their medications, and they didn't have their walkers. So
how far are they going to get without those things?
That's a really good question. So I get this call from my sister, and she's like, "Our parents have run away from home. Please hold." And then she merged the calls. So she was like this close to putting out a silver alert just to have them pulled the fuck over. Because my father's like, "We're driving to Huntsville. We're going to get something to eat there." We're like, "There's nothing to eat there, dude. Everything's closed." "Well, we're going to find a hotel." There are no hotels between here and Dallas, here in Austin, here in San Antonio, and here in fucking Louisiana. There is nothing. Where do you think you're going to go? They spent the night in their car. So the next morning, after some calls going around and everything else, we find out one of my cousins, he's got space in his house because his kids have moved out, and he has a generator. So he took in my parents for a night and 2 days, essentially, until the power came back on at their facility. Now, as you might imagine, I was not terribly pleased by all of this. As a matter of fact, I was pretty fucking angry because broken hips, broken skulls, and everything else, that's the kind of shit that would go on this year. So the fact they did this and didn't get hurt themselves or anything like that is just amazing. But anyway, that was...
Yeah.
So we now have a process in place to make sure this never happens again.
That's good. I also can't help but think that scene where they're descending the 4 stories in the dark in a stairwell while being infirm sounds like a scene that's got to be in one of your books eventually.
Oh God, this is going in a book. This is absolutely going in a fucking book. I mean, it has to. It just has to. Anyway, the horror story for me is imagining my mom going down all those steps, because I've done that in the dark. I had to do it for them to get their medications. I don't know how they did it. I really do not know how they did it. But they did. So anyway, that happened. I had to throw out all the food from my house, everything in the fridge, everything in the freezer. So the house is still pretty bare, and we'll be working on fixing that. But the cool thing is, I've been cranking on Extinction. I've got maybe 42, no, actually, I think it's 39K left to edit. And then I get to go back and rewrite scenes, write new scenes for this puppy. So I'm pleased. I'm having a good time. I can hear everybody talking in my head, which is cool, and makes me really want to record it, even though I'll be told that's insane. But my sanity has always been overrated. So anyway, I've been
the Cooley drive. It doesn't matter if it's insane. You're going to do it anyway. No, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, probably. But it's been fun reading through it. I'd forgotten most of this book because I haven't looked at it in so long. I mean, I've written 3 books since I put this one down. But I think there's every possibility I'll have the version for the betas by September, which will be awesome. So if we can get Oceania out this week, if we get Oceania out this year, then that will guarantee that we get Extinction in 2025. Did Tim freeze for anybody else? Or is it me that's having internet problems?
It's me. I'm sorry.
It's you? Okay.
My internet here is like it's a squirrel with a tin can. That's just how it is here in southern Minnesota.
Well, they're still building stuff, rebuilding stuff around me, so I have no idea if my internet would start being problematic too. So I have to wonder about that. So anyway, so that's pretty much where things are, and we're going to publish Evolution this week. So probably
Fantastic.
Tuesday when I get the trade paperback proofs, I'll hit the buttons and start the publishing and everything else and get that going. I still have to do cover reveals for public. But I got a YouTube trailer ready. I've got some other graphics ready. And I love this cover. I can't wait for people to see it. I'm really excited. So hopefully we'll have that in ebook out Tuesday, Wednesday. It'll be awesome.
Sweet.
It's been 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years since a Black Book came out.
Wow.
Fuck.
That's a long time. But hey,
Yeah, it is.
now you've got the rights back, right? This is the Paul Cooley original series now.
Yep. This is all
fantastic.
me.
Yeah.
Better for better or worse. The covers are definitely better, but 8 years is a long time. It's a long ass time. So we'll see if any of the original folks come back that read the Black 1,000 years ago. If they come back for this book, and we'll see if everybody can.
I might have to. I did read the Black 1,000 years ago, but it's been 1,000 years, so maybe I should get another copy.
So that's what's been going on with me. Apart from having to do little things for my parents, running around and things like that, I really haven't done too much else. There are other hurricane stories, but I'm going to hold off on those. I need to have them in the back pocket when Terry starts talking shit. So that's what we need to do. Actually, I don't think he lost power until after the hurricane was over.
Reserve those, yeah.
Yeah, you reserve them. Yeah, basically you want to keep a deck of cards of some
sounds like
cut
something
downs
Terry
of
would
good
do.
stuff. Yes. You want to keep a back pocket. You want to do it. Wait 2 more years and it could be a 10th
Yes.
anniversary release. That's an interesting concept. Huh. It'd be funny to put Extinction out on the 10th anniversary of the original
Just
Black.
do both. Do a 10th anniversary edition later. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah. Maybe that will
anniversary.
even work scheduling wise. Who knows?
10th anniversary omnibus.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big omnibus. Holy shit.
Ooh. How many pages would that thing be? That'd be a huge book. There's everything.
I figured this out the other day. It's, we'll call it 85, 90, 100, 85, 95, and 150, 160. So that's a decent amount of words if you count all the books together.
Yeah, that's a lot of words. That's pretty close to right around 600,000 or more words, right? I mean, 6 books, right?
Yeah, it's
And most of them are right around 100K, but one's well over. So Yeah, you could say we're at 600.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's big in my inner Sanderson. Whatever, man. It's just one series.
They're all
If I'd
different
written it all,
volumes. Come on.
if I'd written it all as one story, which I should have. I love a good omnibus. I'm trying to figure out if there's a sexual connotation there, and I just can't do it. My brain's not leaping to anything. That's rare. If Terry were here, he'd have an answer for that. He'd have an answer for that.
I have an idea for it, but I don't know if I should say. It's just a dumb pun, and never mind. It's not good enough for air.
Uh-huh. Right. Right.
I'm holding it in reserve.
Oh, is that what you're calling it?
Yeah,
Holding another thing in
no,
reserve?
no.
Is that for After Dark by any chance?
No. It's not that good
No.
either.
No.
It's pretty bad. I'm gonna forget it. I'm gonna stop telling you with this joke is already better than the joke I originally thought of. So, never mind.
Oh, man. Interesting. I just got a message from a beta reader. Omnibussy. Good God, Antoine.
That's actually exactly
Pretty close to what you were thinking.
I was like, that's an Antoine joke. I'll take it.
Yeah, Tim, your feed is in and out, man.
I understand. I can tell whenever I'm frozen because my camera turns off. Basically, it's like I can't see myself on the screen. So at least I know when I'm cutting out. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll be
all right.
Just bear with us, folks. I'm trying my best. Again, internet, squirrels, etc.
Omnibussy sounds like a Bond villain. Pretty sure it was a Bond villain. Wasn't it Octopussy? Not Omnibussy? And was she really a Bond villain? She was actually the love interest by the end of that, wasn't she? An Octopussy,
Well, I
if
imagine
remember
so,
this
right?
correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
She
really
started out as a villain.
aren't any. Are there any female Bond villains that are the villain? The villain?
I don't think so. Not the villain. I don't think so. I don't know the modern ones very well, but
Like in the
probably
movies,
old
at
ones.
least, there's only a couple ones that have. In the old, there's some with female henchmen, like what was it?
Grace Jones.
The Goldeneye, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's some good one there. Little Russian woman with a knife blade in her shoe. Yeah, but she's more of a hench. She's not the villain. She's a hench. Because you can put a lot of them in there, but I think that's
Maybe
the
M
difference.
in the Judi Dench role. With Judi Dench as M, that's the closest you get, but she's not on the bad guy's side. So,
No, she is
well, at least not nominally. Not in those movies.
not nominally. Nominally. Okay, I'm checking around here. All right.
Yeah, I mean, in those movies, you think of the guys. Bond's organization is the good guys, but I don't really know if that'd be how I would think of them in real life. Anyway,
Well, you should
that's
turn
what
it
I'm
the other
saying.
way around. Really it's the ragtag anarchists fighting the system. That's their story.
Exactly. This is their story.
This is their story. James Bond's actually a real douchebag.
Well, that was evident from the first novel. I mean, seriously.
But the henches are always better than the villain. Just take Oddjob, best hench ever. He and
Oddjob
Jaws.
was the best. Yeah.
He and Jaws.
Oddjob in Goldeneye was the best, though, because he was shorter. He had a smaller hitbox than the other characters. Everyone was playing Oddjob when my cousins and I would play that when we were kids on the N64.
You guys are still going on about
It's actually a
Omnibussy?
smaller target. I guess that
Just continue.
somebody needs to get this chat in order.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Let me know how that
Yeah,
works
no,
out for
I
you.
mean, no one's ever been able to do so. Yeah. Oh, right, Sophie Marceau in
World is not enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
she is a villain.
definitely
Yeah,
a female
she
villain.
qualifies. I guess.
Female Bond
Yeah, I'd
villain,
forgotten about
you
that
know.
one. I've forgotten about her. Yeah, she
And I
definitely
should have
qualifies.
remembered that one because that was one of the first Bond movies I ever saw. Just kind of at random. Yeah.
That's just bizarre. Speaking of
What's
bizarre, We started talking
Yeah.
about American Psycho during the pre-show.
Yes, we did.
And I don't think there are many people in this chat who have read that one. I know there's at least one here that has read it besides you, but that's it. It's not exactly.
Not sure if I can recommend. It's just so painful. It's good. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with American Psycho, except for the fact that it's impossible to read because the character is the worst thing in the universe. Anyway, I like the book. I hate the character. That's what I'm trying to say.
The book is real well written, but it's kind of like, for me, it's George R. R. Martin for certain. He had like 30 pages talking about Bannerman, and this asshole talks about 100 pages about what people are wearing and what their clothing is,
and the bizarre foods they're eating,
and the bizarre foods they're eating. Yeah, exactly.
Or at least what they order and their fucking business cards. It's so frustrating.
He's literally thinking about killing a guy and eating him because he likes his business cards better than his. It's just this is fucked up.
Yeah, that's the one. Up. That's the line. My twin brother, and this is completely serious. Read me that part of the book. He was, you got it before. Up. He's like.
Oh, Tim. You're going to have to try again. If you ever come back. Brett says he found nothing bizarre in that book because he worked in corporate America. I can see some of the personality traits.
Maybe if I turn my camera down to low definition. Let me try.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, it won't hurt. It cannot hurt to be a little blurrier. Okay, let's go.
Damn, you sound like a comedy bingo caller. He's a freaking Borg. I'm dying here. Are you back?
I'm back. I'm here. Hopefully it'll be a little smoother now.
There was a 1-800 number where you could hear Gloria Steinem reading passages from American Psycho in protest, but it was like a free audiobook.
Nice. That's
hilarious. It is a deeply misogynistic book. Holy shit. Yeah,
that's maybe the part that'll be the most fun is having. I mean, yeah. Patrick Bateman's the worst, but can you imagine? It does remind me of the Congress people reading, like from the various books that are that they want banned or whatever. I forget the books with sexual situations in them, and then these people are reading them in front of the Senate or Congress or whatever. So silly.
Okay, they want to hear your story about your twin in American Psycho.
William, you want to hear about my twin? What's my story about my twin? What's my story about my twin?
You were telling it, and then it like went away. You were saying something about your brother.
Blip. I'm back. Am I back? Am I here? Am I back, Paul? I'm sorry.
Yes, you're back.
I'm trying.
You're back. You're fine.
Okay, so the story was, American Psycho is one of my twin brother's favorite books, right?
Okay.
So he had me read it. I mean, he just read me that section and was all about just so he could show me how ridiculous the character was, basically. And his theory is that the book is that all the murders in the book are completely made up. Yeah. His theory is that the murders in the book don't actually happen. And I haven't finished the novel yet. I'm about 60% of the way through. So,
okay.
Yeah, I will finish it. I'll finish it soon. I've only been reading it for a few days. So, well, maybe
you'll have to tell me what you think about when you get to the last page.
For me.
Yeah, no, it's a tough read.
Okay.
Antoine.
No, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm trying my best, but my internet's not cooperative. I need to get a better squirrel.
A better squirrel. Yeah. You need a bigger tin can. Or a bigger line between
exactly.
The tin cans.
It needs, and maybe I probably didn't do enough blood sacrifice either, so it's always a problem.
You know, everybody forgets
The
the blood
wards
sacrifice.
need to be renewed.
Renewed. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. So, American Psycho, go read it. Go read it. It pretty much distills the 80s perfectly. Perfectly.
It's financial advice as well.
Yes, it's good financial advice, yes. Also has some intriguing ways to hide bodies. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes.
Highly recommend it.
Yes.
But it is a tough read. It is a tough read.
I mean, hey,
says
some
the
of my favorite
movie-
books are tough reads. I mean, yeah. Go on.
I said Brett says the movie was not misogynistic, which was crazy. Or wild, rather. Yeah,
Oh,
Less Than Zero
that's
is far more
I mean,
80s.
how can the movie be an adaptation? Oh, I'm sorry, Antoine. How can the movie be an adaptation of the book without being misogynistic? Was what I was going to say. But Antoine, yeah, my next book is A Blade of Dust. It's coming out in August. No, not August. September. Jeez, I moved the deadline.
Do you even know your own schedule?
I should, but I don't.
What is this? Mrs. just came into my office, looked at the screen, and decided you no longer look like Saul Berenson from Homeland. It's because I grew my beard out, isn't it? That's what it is. Or my haircut, one of the two. Well, Matt, tell her I'm sorry to disappoint her. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
I'll try and do better. Whoever the fuck Saul Berenson is. Anyway, that notwithstanding. The movie basically makes fun of Patrick and has some very vicious critiques of Matt. Yes, it is a very different...
So it's like the Starship Troopers movie, kind of.
Yes.
Maybe
and
more.
it doesn't lampoon it that much, but it does... It shows him as being ridiculous. And I think that's...
I mean,
that's
though
one of
arguably the book
reasons-
does the same thing. Arguably the book is... There's large portions of this book where it shows him as being pathetic and silly and coked up and insane. And glamorous way. That's what I've noticed. Those are my favorite parts so far. About that, I think I'm here again.
Yeah, you're
This
here
is going to be
again.
the entire show. I'm sorry. I was so bad at this. Okay.
So, if you'd like to see Tim get better internet, go to his website and order his books. Yeah. His website's right there. Right there.
Yep. And just click any of the book covers. Yeah, the Freeze Tag Podcast. That's right, Brett. That'd be a good name for a podcast.
Freeze
I don't
Tag Podcast. I don't know about this.
I also happen to like Failed State as a name for a podcast. I think that'd be fun.
That does sound like
But
a good one.
I don't have the gumption to make that podcast. I mean, because it'd have to be about gaming and probably politics.
That's a great combination for Flame Wars. Is that a soccer ball? William, I can't.
Yeah,
tell
exactly.
what
Wouldn't
that
that be awesome? It'd be like it'd be a lightning rod podcast.
I just want to bring all the hate in one area. We see if we can drag all the internet hate into one thing, so everybody else can go about their fucking business. Got it. It sounds like a noble goal.
It's
Apparently
just
not Paul anymore.
it's everything off on one side, and then you can just calmly snip it. And then you.
I like this idea though. I like this idea.
I'm not that noble though, unfortunately. So I won't do it.
Get Brett Easton Ellis to host it. Get baked and talk about politics.
Oh,
with
that'd be
the latest
fantastic.
FPS.
Now, that would actually
be
work.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. I would love to do that. You'd have to be playing like Civ or something like that, or StarCraft or something like that, where you can mold the
Call of
politics
Duty.
into while you're beating the shit out of each other. Call of Duty. Well, yeah, that would work too. Failed to say Flame Wars.
I mean, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I had to give that one away because I've had that idea for a long time. Fail State as the podcast, but Yeah, I'm not a game designer, and I'm not a gamer that much anymore. And I'm not much of a podcaster either, as you can tell, folks. So,
Well,
yeah,
you're
here we
very
go.
rarely live, so it makes a big difference when
Yeah, I
you're
don't go
offline.
live on my show, and this is why. This is why I don't do live shows that much.
This is why I have fiber internet. That's why this is. That's why this is.
Yeah, I need to see about what getting that at some point. Need
Yeah.
major upgrade.
Well, chat, we don't have a topic. So I guess we're just going to meander. If you've got something you want us to chat about, we will be more than happy to consider it. Although I still want to ask
I'll
you,
try.
what is Terry's bikini size?
Me or Chad?
Yes. You need a towel for your podcast?
Okay.
You're a movie podcast or a film review, play review podcast, essentially, right? Chat about the great modern epoch, One Piece, Tarantini. How close was to a post-apocalyptic novel was Texas on Tuesday? Depends on where you was. We had a lot of trees come down. When I went over to my folks' house on Tuesday, some guy was telling me I couldn't go down the road. And I went down the road anyway and got done at the parents' house what I needed to do. And then I looked out and I found out why the guy was telling me the road was blocked, because it was. There was like a 60, 70 foot pine that had just completely snapped at the base and had gone over and covered the street and went into the neighbor's house across the street. So it fucked some shit up hardcore. It was not fun. Cell towers went out and everything else. It was just bad. And some of the energy companies didn't have their shit together, and it maybe weeks for some folks to get their power back. So it was pretty ugly. This one had a lot more wind damage. We usually, up here where I live, we get more rain than wind, but this time we got more wind than rain, and it was scary. Seeing pine trees sway as far as they were, it was something else. Just something
Oh
else.
yeah. We had a tornado up here when I was a kid in my town. This tornado that doesn't even look like a tornado when you photos of it.
A size 2 micro bikini. Xander. Big bowl of applesauce. Yeah, one inch of snow here in Houston would completely destroy the place. It has before. Because there's no way anybody can deal with it, at least not here in Houston. There's just no way. Our overpasses are like 10 to 15% grades, and they go upwards for miles. You cannot have ice on those things. You will die. Very simple. Brett says my mother lived in Japan and said she said the hurricane was about as scary as omnibusy as a Bond villain compared to their storms or typhoons. Yes, but they actually build for them.
It's
Unlike
wow.
here. Yeah, they have their shit together. We do not, because Americans don't believe in infrastructure. We just don't believe in it. For some, we bitch about how bad it is. Go figure. Yeah, damn near Kingwood area is basically broken because they always have to release the water, which just floods everyone. Yep. It's just not pretty right now. And 7-ish years ago. Okay, Xander, I didn't realize you lived in Houston. Biking through several inches of snow, that is tough. Setting infrastructure.
Yes, it is.
You have disappeared on me.
No, I turned off my camera. I'm going to see if this works better. I'm sorry. I know it's not good, but I think it's better if people can hear me. I tried the camera, and it's. I guess I have limitations at the moment.
You've got limitations. We're going to fix this. I know. I think I know how to fix this for After Dark. Tim is but a voice in the walls.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I'm in your walls, Xander. I'm inside the walls.
The call is coming from inside the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
I found on our corporate VPN I can have a camera or a screen share both at once, not an option. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks because he pauses when he's telling an amazing story. Every time you tried to tell a story today, as soon as you get into it, you just cut out, and then you come back and you go and then it gets cuts again. It's just
Oh, I'm
killing me.
sorry. Is this better at least? Can you at least hear
Yes,
me
this
now?
is awesome. This is good. This is good.
Okay. Okay.
This is good.
So, yeah, so about that tornado that happened when I was a kid.
There we go. Yeah, that. Go back to that.
Yeah, that tornado. So that tornado happened when I was a kid, and it was such a huge tornado. Like the funnel cloud was so big, you can't. It just looks like a block of clouds moving along the ground. And Matt, just wait a sec. I'll answer your questions about the evil twin later. But anyway, so we sheltered in the basement. My dad's catamaran ended up getting picked up by the tornado out because it was out in the yard in the vegetable garden where it was parked, you know. And when we came outside after the tornado, the house was still standing. It was amazing. But the catamaran was also standing just against the side of the house. It had been picked up and set against the side of the house. This two-hole catamaran, and it was just standing there leaned up against the side of the house. And yeah, there was also this fantastic. We had a bunch of giant pine trees at the time in our yard. Well, we didn't have any after that. Let me put it that way. It's kind of a miracle the house survived. The car didn't. The van got crushed by a falling tree. Yeah.
Tornadoes
Anyway.
are weird, man. They're just weird.
Tornadoes are weird. It's like what happened? This I mean, literally a whirlwind went through this place, but some of the stuff is untouched and other parts are completely annihilated. So, yeah.
The wind
Yeah,
is very
that was
fickle.
pretty wild.
Oh, omnibus editions.
Oh, also omnibus editions, yes. Yeah, I mean,
Terry.
yeah, that's a good question, Terry. Yeah.
Terry Irvin says for a topic possibly discuss putting together omnibus editions, ebook and audio, and how it will affect the individual editions sold, or if the omnibus should be for a short time and only, and pricing. Okay. So
I don't know anything about pricing omnibus editions. Let me put it that way. Let me start there. Pricing is something I don't know anything about because, I mean, I don't make money from my books yet.
I think omnibuses, like for instance, I know Terry did one or a couple of them actually, because he's got so many goddamn books in Empire of Bones series that he collected like the first 3 books together in an omnibus edition. I think he did the next 3 after that as well. But that was after those books had been out there for years before he did that.
Yep.
So the individual books had made their money and their sales had dropped off. Therefore, it made sense to go ahead and put the omnibus up there to try and drive some more sales to it by giving more away for, less money essentially. So that's easy to do with ebooks. It is much harder to do with trade paperbacks, especially when you're talking about big series. If you're trying to collect, 5 or 6 Elmore Leonard books, which all run like 65, 70,000, that's doable. When you start talking about trying to fit the black in an omnibus edition, it ain't happening, not in print. It's not happening. Not unless they're massive, massive books. So you have to kind of consider exactly what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. I do think the omnibuses make more sense for ebooks unless you're, collecting short stories and novellas and things like that. And you do bring up an interesting point, which is you're basically cannibalizing the book sales of those books that are included in the omnibus. Again, I think you have to look at when those books stop performing. And you can try things like, for instance, if the black stops selling, I can make it a big time loss leader and give it away for free. And then drive everybody to the other paying books. Or I could put an omnibus together of the first 3 books since they've been out for years and years and years, and then keep the next 3 separate completely, which I've thought about doing.
Yeah.
I've thought about
So
calling the
I
first
just
three
released
books
a
the
5
M2
novella
trilogy.
series this year. Oh, go on.
5 novellas?
Oh, the M2 trilogy. Okay.
Yeah.
I have 5
First,
novellas in my Iron Dragon series. Released most of them this year. But that's the whole thing is just a big one long novel worth of words. So when I collect that stuff, it'll basically be so I can put out a sequel that's more like all 5 put together in length.
mm,
And I've done that before. I mean, I've never actually produced a sequel for any of these things, but I at one point I was trying to do novellas for all my books. Like I break my novels into novellas. That didn't work so well. But
right.
I only have one book where the novellas actually worked okay to begin with, and that was Ten Liars, which is like fantasy with firearms. Anyway, but in Ten Liars, that was originally written as a serial, so I published that on the blog, and then eventually I collected those into novella volumes, 40,000 word volumes, and then I would publish. Then I published eventually. But now it's all just out as one 120,000 word book,
Gotcha.
and I think it works best in this form. I don't know. I'm not. I still need to get better at writing series in general, so that's when I'll know more about. Because right now I've only done one series of novels in my entire career. That's more than 2 books at this point. Everything else is novellas or other shorter things.
I'm with you there. I've only got 2 series, if you really think about it,
Yeah.
that you could call series in the traditional sense, which is the Black and Derelict, and that's it. Everything else are one-offs.
At least those are they're in genres that are kind of cousins, so that's good. But also, I mean that's okay anyway. They're not, I mean not great as far as the relationship with each other, but at least you have like 4 or 5 books plus in both those series, right? You have 6 in the Black
6 in the
and
Black and 4 in
how many?
Derelict.
4 in Derelict, right? Yeah. So yeah, with me, I mean I have especially in fantasy, which is what I write. The sales diminish as you go. Yes, I've noticed the sales always diminish as I go. The next book always sells less than the previous one.
In the
Well, in a
series.
series for me, yeah.
Yes.
Well, actually, I should say it usually does. It doesn't always, which is the most bizarre part. The last book of the Iron Dragon series, Parasite Games, had 7 copies sold. When just for full transparency, 7 copies versus the 4 that sold for the previous book. So I don't know who bought those extra few copies, but whatever. That's almost twice as many sales on a
Brett
book
says
that
in a
you need
series,
to read the previous one to get.
do you find that the sales diminish as you go? I think okay, so for instance, with the Black, and I can't speak to Derelict because I don't get to see those sales numbers on a regular basis, so I've forgotten everything about them and don't really care. But for the Black, the first book still sells better than any of the other books. Period. End of story. What's interesting is I think I'm getting like and it's hard to nail this down because Arrival and Outbreak, you can read them in any order. And you can actually read the 3 books in any order you please, if you think about it. But the first book still sells the best. Arrival is still selling second best. And then Outbreak comes in third. So people are grabbing the first one. Some of them come back for Arrival, and some of those folks come back for Outbreak. How many of them are going to come back for Evolution? I don't know. And since Evolution has the original characters from the Black in it, if I can get the word out about that, since it's more of a direct sequel, people might come on board for it. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, shit, Extinction could be this huge production and nobody buys it. It could happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, fingers crossed that the series picks up again when you get back to it, right? I mean, it's been so long, but that was your big seller for a while there, right? Or did Derelict top it at any point?
Nothing is ever going to top the Black.
Okay.
Nothing is ever going to top the Black.
Wow.
But I will say the Black existed in a very specific time period with BookBub, and that was one of the reasons why it got out in front of so many people's faces is because of the BookBub. And that's a lot harder to do now and costs a lot more money than it used to. So, I mean, that was one of the reasons Severed Press did what they were able to do with Jake Bible and myself and some other folks. is they really had that down with getting the stuff in the BookBub. They had it down on how to do the marketing to the horror lists and the sci-fi lists and everything else. They knew how to do all that stuff, and they did it very well. And then that era ended. So I don't know what the
Yeah.
answer is now. So
Yeah, I
we'll
don't.
see.
I never got a BookBub, but it's possible to be successful without a BookBub. I mean,
Sure, absolutely.
it's just a different formula. You require a different approach, obviously, if you can't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, it's. I think it just kind of depends on how you're approaching it. But if you have the marketing know-how, which I do not, worth a shit. If you have the marketing know-how and you got good covers and you got good stuff between the between the covers, it seems like you should be doing well. But the marketing is the trick. Marketing is
Right.
really tough.
Xander, you want to see more fantasy with space things or a high fantasy world that is more modern-esque things? That is basically what I've been trying to do for years, and not that many people want that, as far as I can tell. It's confused. I mean, like my Iron Dragon books, 100%. That's exactly what they are. There's some weird. I mean, the technology is divergent from our technology, so they have plant-based computer systems and weird flying manta ray creatures instead of airplanes, but it's pretty similar to our tech level. It's like a Cold War kind of story, kind of level of technology, but except that they also have computers, so it's really more modern, I guess. But anyway, but it's all insane, weird technology, of course. All their power sources are living creatures and stuff like animals and things that they just basically hook up to like they use them like batteries. It's messed up, but it made this weird setting. The Ten Liars is in that same world, and I really like that. That's why I wanted to go back there. That's why I did the Iron Dragon books in that setting. But it's a really hard sell. Yeah, like you said, it's a hard sell. Yeah.
I guess Starship Mage by Glenn Stewart is the only one I know that's successful in doing that. Although I guess Warhammer does
That's
too.
a little different. That's a little different because he went as hard sci-fi as he could with all the technology, and then just threw in magic on top, which is not. I mean, that's not just. That's a really good decision because then he's like, okay, this is a science fantasy setting, this is space fantasy because we have wizards in space, everything, and these two things almost don't meet in that sense,
Right.
At least not at first.
And you're going, no, not Dresden, but sort of yes, but no. Brett says, is there anything that is not a hard sell, save for romance?
Yeah, there are some that are not a hard sell. I would say there's a few things out there. I
think
would
that-
love to do more Space Wizards though.
I think the tropes, if you go look at the popular sci-fi that's really kind of selling off, and I'm not talking about bigs, I'm talking about indies, I think you'll find that there's a lot of formulas out there that work. And they make it easier to do some of this stuff. It just kind of depends on what you're reading and what you're looking at. Romance, I think you could get lost because there's so much of it. I mean, really, that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not that I write in horror. It's not that I write in sci-fi. It's that that those two genres are drowning in titles, and so finding me versus everybody else is a lot more difficult than it would be otherwise. And I'm not even close to being in the realm of like what the romance writers deal with and how many people are writing that stuff. Not if you write bromance. Are we back on the bromance thing? Oh my god.
Oh my. But yeah, web serials. That's a good question. A good point, Xander. The web serials have a lot more weird, like genre expectation breaking stuff in them. So dark bromance.
If I write a bromance, it
it's-
will be a dark bromance. Hell yes. Hell
But
yes.
the other thing I've noticed is it's really hard to get paid for that stuff. I mean, at least here in the North America. I mean, I haven't noticed. I mean, Kindle Vella. I made the most money I've ever made from writing books on Kindle Vella, but that's just because I published a bunch of crap and they were giving away bonuses too earlier. To just for publishing.
Yeah,
And
as far as I know, they still
I
are.
managed to make several $1,000s doing that. No, they aren't. They aren't
Oh, they're
doing
not
it
doing
quite
that
the
anymore?
same way.
Okay.
They don't give you a bonus. You have to have readers as well. So they actually got wise to my old technique. So I would publish a bunch of unfinished work. I'd publish a bunch of unfinished work that I didn't want anyone to read, and then they would give me a bonus of $1,000 a month every time I would publish 600 chapters of that or whatever. So I
To
published
get paid,
300,000 words in a month, but it wasn't done.
as Andrew says, to get paid, you need to cultivate a following, then hope they can be pushed to a Patreon or something, or buy the
Right.
ebook release of the first art book of the serial. Correct.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a whole mess. It's a different challenge too. Oh
I'd
yeah, Matt.
flip that, Matt. I'd flip that. I would flip that.
So wait,
And
the
I
brothers are
probably will.
Nephilim? They're Garaga Nephilim?
I'm
But
not
they
saying
go
a
around hunting
goddamn
other
word.
creatures?
I'm not saying a
Okay,
goddamn
okay.
word.
Sorry. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by flipping. That's
Don't
all
give
I'm
me
saying.
ideas, goddammit. I'm trying to set up what's
Okay,
going on in
okay.
2025, and I got all these goddamn books I need to do. I still have 3 to
Oh
finish.
yeah,
Still have 3 more to finish that are part done.
right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Spoilers for
One
season.
of the other things I've noticed. Season X. Could be any season at that point. No, but
Pretty much.
the one thing I would say as far as everything being a hard sell, though, in my experience is that I could sell a book, like at least in 2019, I was marketing a book that I didn't have finished writing. I had not finished writing it, so there was no sample, there was nothing. I just had a pre-order up, and I made a fair chunk of sales. And if the book itself had been good when I published it, which I admit it wasn't that good when I first published it, it needed another draft or two, and I eventually gave it that stuff, and it became pretty good. But it sold books before people could read it based on the strength of the cover and blurb. And I've never had that kind of success since, which is very frustrating.
Have you ever had a cover that matched it as far as quality or presentation or?
I have, yeah, because that cover wasn't even that good. It was just a very European-looking fantasy book.
Okay.
I think that's the main thing, is it had a more European fantasy bent to it.
That's
Covers to its 2 sequels just as well. But there were problems. There's problems with all.
blurb and cover make sales more often than not. Yes, that is correct. And a good cover is hard to do. That's why I farm that out to people who know what they're doing, like Scott Pond, because he knows what to do. Who cut out? I cut out? Am I still here?
I haven't been talking.
There you are.
You're here. You're back.
Okay. Was
At
I
least
gone?
Sometimes I can hear you typing. You were gone. You were gone for a second or two.
Okay.
You're
All
just
right. I am
moving
here.
around
Sorry,
the room
guys.
like a marionette in like one of those marionettes in the what is it? What's that game? Damned Criminal Origins. Yeah.
Their criminal origins. Tim solved the marketing and the audio froze.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems
Turns out
about right.
I'm just.
Oh my god. Oh my god. This is just the show. This is the show. Thunderbirds or maybe Stingray?
Hey.
I like the thread.
I'm not sure if this is better or worse than Paul just hosting solo, but it's definitely not the same thing.
Big publishing is preventing Tim from getting the truth out. Let's call this podcast Great Ideas with Tim.
Yes, it's great
Oh,
ideas
holy
that you will
shit.
never hear.
Oh, God. Terry Irvin did ask a question that I didn't address, which was audiobook
Oh.
omnibuses. That's a toughie one. That's a toughie one. I think that goes back to looking at the sales of the individual pieces and deciding when it's time to basically cut bait and try to get them into more hands or into more ears, I guess I should say. So Terry did audiobook omnibuses. Yeah, there you go. So I can see doing that. I can see Fireside, for instance, collecting the first 3 black books and putting them together. I can see me putting the last 3 books together. So I think it just kind of depends on what you want to do. But like the Derelict Saga, it needs an omnibus. It needs an omnibus with all 4 books because it is one story. So I don't have the rights to do that with the trade paperbacks and the ebooks, but I do have the rights to do that with the audiobooks. And it is something I've thought about doing. But I would almost want to re-record them, and we know that's insane because that's 450,000 words. So, 45, well, I guess 45 hours of audio, and I can't remember how many words it is. It's a lot. It's a lot. 30-hour omnibus is good. Yeah, probably. Matt. Oh, okay. I reckon that Tim's actually out of things to say, so he's just throwing out elevator pitches from faking glitch and finishing with "and that's cool." Yeah, it could be. You might be right. You're the ghost in the machine. Oh man. Well, what else you got, folks? We got about 3.5 minutes. Well, 3 minutes before I start my closing spiel. I would love to do a black omnibus. I could do that. I have control of the series now. Except for the audiobooks. Shit, that's a problem. Is there an After Dark? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. So if you got other Q&A stuff, definitely bring that in. Maybe a short After Dark. Unless y'all decide, exactly what to... is it a boo or a poo? What? You got Chinese takeaway, if that counts. No alcohol, but there's no cats, so you're safe. It sounds about right. PU or PU? What are you talking about, Antoine? It's hopeless. It is hopeless.
Yes, very hopeless.
So here's what you need to do, y'all. If you're on Discord, if you're on Facebook, you need to give Veronica and Terry shit about missing the show. You just got to do it. Because me doing it doesn't accomplish anything. Because they're just like shake their heads and go, oh no, it's Paul, who cares? So if you start doing it, I think it'll start getting under their skin. Antoine is referring to gender poo or boo. Bussy versus, yeah, okay, got it. I'm with it now. I'm with it. I got it. I wish I hadn't gotten it, but I got it.
Paul's hip now. Paul's hip.
I'm hip? I have
I
hips.
guess.
I'm hip.
Can't even see over your pelvis, just like in the Hitchhiker's Guide.
Was he talking about Zaphod Beeblebrox when he made that comment?
No, it did Zaphod describing himself. I'm so hip I can barely see over my pelvis.
That's right. That's what it is. Okay, I knew. I thought it had something to do with Zaphod. I just couldn't remember who said it.
Yeah.
It's such a great series. If you've never
those
read
books,
it,
yeah.
you got to read those books. Back to American Psycho, Hip to Be Square. Yeah.
If I have to read one more reference to Les Miserables, oh my God. I'm gonna go through those pages. Yeah, it is. It is. It's everywhere in the book.
Right, because it was really big at that time in New York City.
Yep.
That was a show everybody went to.
I'm gonna get into that book, and I'm gonna, I don't know, do something unspeakable, somehow.
Somehow you're gonna do something unspeakable.
To
Explain
the
that
character,
to me.
yes.
To the character.
I mean, I'm gonna write fan fiction of that book, and yeah, it won't go well for Patrick Bateman. Let me put it that way. I'll write a fan fiction wherein, I don't know, he picks the wrong guy to try to knife or something.
That would be kind of fun.
Like he encounters, what is it? I'm not sure what the creature he encounters will be like, but it will have multiple limbs, more than 2, more than 4. Yeah.
Oh no, that's just scary. If you
Yes,
have
it
a
is.
question or comment about this episode, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSE.social. You can find us on Facebook at the Dead Robot Society writing community where we mangle the madness. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRSpodcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRSpodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one that's just coming up in just a few minutes. And at the $10 level, you get your name read, and our $10 patrons are Nate Cosby, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and this Tim Niederriter, guys. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And I did leave out YouTube. How did I do that? You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRSpodcast, youtube.com/DRSpodcast, where we are live just about every Saturday at 3 p.m. Central. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And with that, I have to thank our wonderful guest host, Tim Niederriter, who really needs to put down Tim Needs an Internet.
Yes, in Living Technicolor.
Living Technicolor. And you can find Mr. Niederriter at timneedawriter.com. Go up there and check out his stuff. Thank you very much for joining me, Tim, and keeping this in line. This was fun despite the technical issues. So
It's been a difficult pleasure, but pleasure.
difficult pleasure. That's what she said. Okay, with that, we are out of here. Thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you next week. See ya.